Officers, attention!
Detail, attention!
Will you stand and pray with me? Well, God in heaven, again, a great privilege to gather today with these friends and with these families. God, many of these have lost loved ones serving on the front lines, protecting our community, and we are here today to memorialize and remember. Many are experiencing that great loss of being apart, being separated by death from someone they love and care for, who gave an ultimate sacrifice for our community. So God, I pray for each life that is celebrated and memorialized here today. I pray for a peace and a presence in the lives of these family and friends. I pray that by your great grace and your mercy, you will see them through. In your mighty name, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the posting of the colors by Missouri Highway Patrol Honor Guard. Present! Out! Officers, present! Out!
Detail, present, out!
Order! Out! Forward. Look.
Please join me in the singing of our national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Where's the drummer? Where's the drummer? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, with your hands over heart, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Please be seated. I'd like to welcome everyone to the 23rd Annual Peace Officers Memorial Program. This program started many, many years ago after we realized here in St. Charles County, many of the police officers are still here today with us that helped start this program. And Chief David Todd and I stood around after a very small group of people were here, and we looked around and said there needs to be more. We need all the departments here. We need to invite more and more families. Unfortunately, there are more families here because we have lost many of our officers, our men and women. But we thank all of you for being here today. We'd also like to recognize our elected officials who join us today. And we have Mayor Hennessy from O'Fallon, Mayor Faith from St. Charles, Mayor Pagano from St. Peters, County Executive Ellman, Aldermen from St. Peters, Michael Shea, Terry Violet, and Rocky Rittmeyer. Thank you all for being here. If I missed anyone, please do let us know. The check-in is over at the cookie table, so that's how we know you're here. So we thank you and glad that you are here to support all the departments and all the work that they do. Now, May 15th is the official Peace Officers Memorial Day, and it actually starts from May 10th to May 16th. This day was designated in 1962 by President John F. Kennedy. Every year, tens of thousands of law enforcement officers and their families participate in services such as these to honor those in their community that made the ultimate sacrifice. We honor those communities this evening and those officers that participate in these state and national ceremonies, and most of them will be there, many of them will be there next week in Washington. Tonight, though, we honor our local men and women in arms who have served St. Charles County, who have protected us and continue to serve the cause of justice. We will pay tribute this evening to those killed in the line of duty, those who died while serving, and those who served during their careers in law enforcement and are also interred here at St. Charles Memorial Gardens. I'm going to introduce our guest speaker, Judge Gertner, who is Missouri State Court of Appeals judge, who has a fascinating history, and it's so long he won't let me read it, but he's a very, very humble man. I will tell you that many of the things that he has done has supported the law enforcement agencies. And he's been the assistant state prosecutor at the Circuit Attorney's Office in the city of St. Louis. He's been appointed assistant federal prosecutor with the United States Attorney General's Office of the Eastern District of Missouri, and he has prosecuted violent crimes and chaired the United States Department of Justice Insurance Fraud Task Force. He's received the John Shepard Professionalism Award from the Bar Association in St. Louis, and next year he was appointed circuit judge in St. Louis County, and in 2009 is now serving appointed to our Missouri State Court of Appeals in the Eastern District. He is secretary of the Crusade Against Crime of America. He's trustee of Missouri History Museum and the Dean's Council at St. Louis University Law School. He gives back to his community. He's a member of a parishioner of St. Clement Rome in Parish in St. Louis, and he and his wife have 7 children. Not much to do there. He's a wonderful man. We're really honored to have him here as our guest speaker tonight. Please welcome Judge Gertner.
I'm deeply honored, privileged, and touched by this invitation to speak to this illustrious group of law enforcement officials and families of officers who would be here, except for the fact that they made the ultimate sacrifice and gave their lives in the line of duty. This 23rd Candlelight Memorial Service is an event to recall and never to forget the sacrifice of these brave men and women who've made for us, St. Charles County, our state, and our country. We can only pray that no further names will be placed on memorial plaques again throughout the United States. Unfortunately, you and I know that day will come again. The cup will not pass. We all know Monday, New York City detective Brian Moore passed away. Today I read an Idaho police officer died, sergeant, senselessly. I'd like to recognize the families of these fallen officers. Today is their day
This is a day to honor all the men and women of law enforcement in St. Charles County who carry on their legacies. These families and the memories of these officers are part of the fabric of your tradition in your profession. I've been around law enforcement since birth with my dad and myself. My court bailiff's father was a corporal in 1947, city of St. Louis. My bailiff was a city sergeant who was shot in the line of duty. His two sons are patrolmen. I know how important tradition is to you in law enforcement. You represent a legacy of what these men and women who sacrificed their lives stood for and what they believed in. You carry their names and their missions. Law enforcement in St. Charles County has a reputation for dedicated and proactive police work, which is greatly appreciated. Everyone really here is an unsung hero, whether you like to be called that or not. We as a country in St. Louis region are facing enormous social upheaval. Traditional law enforcement is under attack on scene since the 1960s, but law enforcement is still a pillar and one of the foundations of our society. A recent Gallup poll rated the police number 2 institution behind our military for public confidence out of 15 public institutions, with over a 53% approval rating. Fortunately, the military got about 80, but the approval rating of the U.S. Supreme Court was only 30%. Congress 7. Why is law enforcement rated so high? Because the silent majority of Americans know that every morning when you put on your uniform and badge, there's no guarantee that you will return to your family. Americans know that you're not overpaid, but are on duty 24/7. When there's a natural disaster, who remains behind you? Behind, you do. You're always on duty, you're always a target. Look at these families in this audience. Never forget you're a target every day you put on your uniform. I hesitate to mention this, but it bothers me to my core. I received a phone call from my dad, July 14th, 1991. He's a board member of Backstoppers. They're being informed the senseless murder, St. Louis County police officer Joanne Liscomb. I'll never forget the call. I was 26. Law-abiding Americans know the risks you take. No one's going to come up very seldom and thank you for your service, but I can guarantee you the silent majority of Americans are 100% in your corner. When an unfortunate situation arises for a police officer and police officer's split-second judgment is questioned, jurors throughout this great country, the overwhelming majority of cases, support you hands down. But with this great respect comes an even greater responsibility. Every citizen with whom you come in contact has a lasting memory of your encounter. You will not, though. You have a job like mine. At least 50% of the people lose in front of me. In your case, they're rightfully arrested. Your job is not to make everybody happy. Having said that, if you perform your arrests and conduct yourself with the highest degree of integrity, even with the most vile criminal, you will continue to endear the citizenry of this country. Why is there this great bond with law enforcement crosses all economic, social, racial, and religious bonds? When I tell my 7 children, if you have a problem, an emergency, police are there to protect you. You can rest your life upon them. Even in the most crime-ridden neighborhoods, you can and must solidify these bonds. It is your daily responsibility. Every contact you make, the most innocuous ones, and you may not believe it, affects the criminal justice system. Everyone has a family and friends. They are the people who sit on the juries and convict defendants. Your work on the street is 95% of law enforcement. It is the hardest and most dangerous aspect of this system. But the arrest is just the beginning. I know Tim Lomar is a great prosecutor, has great prosecutors that work for him. The circuit judges of St. Charles County are very law and order judges. But the final 5% in the court, when the nail is put into these violent criminals, are the jurors. The citizens of our community are the final 5%. We need jurors who've had positive interaction with the police, even when they're given a speeding ticket. And I see the highway patrol cars out there. So you are the most important wheel in the system. It is not the judges or the prosecutors. It is you, the police officer, and more importantly, the patrol officer. You are where the rubber hits the road. You enforce the laws and protect the Constitution of our state and our country. You are the law on the street. You are often the wall that prevents society from chaos. Your aggressive, proactive, but honest police work separate us from what happens in other countries. Your work is the key ingredient in this battle against anarchy on the street. I have a captive audience, and I like talking to police audiences, and I bring this up. I say, go that extra mile. I had a case, there's a sergeant in Tulsa, Oklahoma, who saw a gangster disciple purchasing a number of firearms down there. And Highway Patrolman Rick Leesenby, who's now sheriff in Phelps County, arrested this gangster disciple outside of Rolla. And I got the case of federal prosecutor, and there are a lot of people in that car. And my ATF agent saw that report that this Tulsa sergeant wrote about who purchased those firearms. That was the nail in this guy's coffin. He got 10 years, served 85% of the time. That extra work, that report alone saved probably several lives in Chicago. In your career, the more detailed report may seem a waste of time, but I bet if you go that extra mile, there'll be 2 or 3 cases in your 20-year career that'll make a huge difference. You can never tell when it matters, so make it matter all the time. No one will thank you for that extra work, but you and your law enforcement colleagues will know your professionalism. Look around this audience and the families who are here. There's sometimes no second chances in your profession. Please always be vigilant. Even vigilance may not save you. I remember as a prosecutor interviewing witnesses, I always had a police officer with me, and I hate to admit my age, and it's maybe not as politically correct, but everyone had a billy club, and they'd always walk to the side and knock at the door, and I finally figured out why. Those little things do for your family. The consequences are grave. Don't let your guard down. Even when you don't believe bad things can happen, they do. Stay in shape, train hard, train your muscle memory correctly. Don't give the bad guys any reason to think they have an edge on you. As you know, you have the hardest job in America, especially today. The cost of crime to our society is enormous and understated. When crime overtakes a community, communities' foundations crumble, schools deteriorate, businesses leave. As you know, no criminal respects or fears a system of justice which is soft or a police officer who is weak. There are very loud voices condemning law enforcement daily, locally and nationally. Some, in fact, want law enforcement to only reactively police or respond to calls or to do nothing. At the same time, I saw on the Post, robberies and violent assaults year over year has increased a staggering 50% in the city of St. Louis. The violent criminal has not gone away, softened, or changed in any way. If nothing else, they are more calloused, vile, and brazen. The law enforcement, law-abiding citizen does not scream, yell, or spit in the face of law enforcement. This silent majority demands protection from violent criminals and respect for the law and law enforcement. It truly breaks my heart to see a divide for and against law enforcement. But I am very confident, though, this pendulum will swing back very soon for law enforcement. Police officers are not social workers. You cannot correct the breakdown of the family, the lack of discipline and respect instilled in young men and women, the inability as a schools to discipline students, the lack of respect for authority and law as a whole in society. These problems need to be addressed, but they are not. FBI Director James Comey 2 months ago jumped headlong into the fray. He stated very succinctly, quote, law enforcement is not the root cause of the problems in our hardest hit neighborhoods, but law enforcement still needs to examine itself, end quote. All professions, including mine as a judge, and yours as law enforcement, need to continue to improve. Better training techniques, more involvement in the community, more professionalism. Therefore, you must continue to strive to improve, but never forget your ultimate mission is to protect the citizenry from those criminals intent on reaping havoc and mayhem. Please listen to the silent majority who urgently need protection. Please do not retreat from proactive policing. I have a story. It's difficult, but it talks about a flat top beer can, Jet beer. It's low alcohol. And 44 years ago, it was a little bit more politically correct to collect beer cans than it is today, I would think. But Harold Tolman had a auto repair shop on Washington Avenue. My dad used to get his car repaired down there. And I always looked in his refrigerator and had this old beer can in there, and I loved it. And I wanted it for my collection. I always asked him for it, and he said he wouldn't give it to me. Never told me why, but when he was about 75 and dying, he gave it to me. Told me to cherish it. One of his best friends had given it to him when he went on duty that night. Never came back from duty. I still cherish the gift of a beer can. And I know the law enforcement community, the St. Charles civilian community, cherish the memory and the sacrifice your loved ones so gallantly made for us. Very honored to have spoken before you, to have been part of this 23rd annual Candlelight Memorial Service. May God bless each family here, their loved ones who are no longer with us, and protect each and every law enforcement officer in St. Charles and our great nation in the noble pursuit of the protections of our communities. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Karen Simpson. On February 12th, 2013, my life changed forever. My husband, Detective Chris Simpson of the Chesterfield Police Department, passed while working out in the training room. He was my best bud. He was my partner in life. And we didn't have any kids. We had just had four-legged kids. And that morning when he got up, when he would get up, he couldn't come back in the room because one of the dogs protected me from him. So that morning, I was working a strange shift, 9 to 6. He was working 7 to 4. And I told him, as he passed by, because he couldn't come back in the room, I'm cooking dinner tonight. Because my normal shift was 12 to 9, 5 days a week. So those extra nights that I could cook, we looked forward to it. Well, he passed away at 5 o'clock that evening while working out in the training room, preparing for the PT test. In the 2 years, the first year, I did not know about this group I'm going to tell you about tonight. And it is COPS, Concerns of Police Survivors. What do they do for us? They help the law enforcement family rebuild their lives. Not only the survivors, the children of the fallen, but the co-workers, the people at City Hall that knew them. And I've been with them for a year, and they're awesome. I've met men and women, children, spouse, significant others, everybody, co-workers, and this family that I now am with is awesome. And they work with everybody to rebuild. They'll help us with counseling. They give us a chance to scream at each other, cry with each other, and play with each other. Next week is Cops Week, and I brought tonight these little ribbons that I would like everybody to put on their car representing cops. If you can't do it for the full week, do it for just next Friday, Cops Day. Police Officers Day. I've got stuff over at a table, and after the ceremony, come over. I'll gladly talk to you. And yeah, my contacts are drying out. Thank you, and Good night.
I'm Chief Randy McKinley with the St. Charles City Police Department. John Blair, 1913. David Lambs, 1913. Fred Bergman, 1976. Gary Stroud, 1977. Grant Jansen, 2008.
Killed in the line of duty from the St. Charles County Sheriff's Department. Sheriff John Durker, 1916. Lieutenant Al Musterman, 1969. Deputy Richard Hinkey, 1971.
Killed in the line of duty from the Missouri State Highway Patrol. Sergeant Benjamin O. Booth, 1933. Trooper Fred L. Walker, 1941. Trooper Victor O. Dosey, 1941. Trooper Charles B. Corbett, 1943. Trooper Ross S. Creech, 1943. Trooper John M. Grime, 1945. Trooper Wayne W. Allman, 1955. Trooper Jesse R. Jenkins, 1969. Trooper Gary W. Sondgrass, 1970. Trooper William R. Brandt, 1970. Trooper Dennis H. Marriott, 1981. Trooper James M. Frensdorf, 1985. Trooper Jimmy E. Leniger, 1985. Trooper Russell W. Harper, 1987. Trooper Henry C. Bruns, 1987. Trooper Robert J. Kalilis, 1988. Corporal Michael E. Webster, 1993. Sergeant Randy V. Sullivan, 1996. Sergeant David C. May, 1999. Sergeant Robert G. Kimberly, 1999. Sergeant Robert A. Gillums, 2001. Trooper Kelly L. Pointer, 2002. Trooper Michael L. Newton, 2003. Sergeant Carl D. Graham Jr., 2005. Trooper Ralph C. Tatorian, 2005. Corporal John A. Sampetro Jr., 2005. Trooper Donald K. Floyd, 2005. Corporal Dennis E. Englehart, 2009. Sergeant Joseph G. Shingle, 2010. Trooper Frederick F. Guntry Jr., 2011.
Killed in the line of duty from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Special Agent L. Douglas Abram, 1990.
Officers who died while serving. St. Charles Police Department. Robert L. Lamb, 1930. Reuben Abington, 1978. The Reverend J. D. Thomas Piper, chaplain, 1983. Gerald J. Neske, 1997. St. Charles County Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Robert Kester, 1976. Delbert Runyon, 1976. John Hunt, 1976. Kenneth A. Tiemann, 1992. David Kunert, 1997. Jeff Austin, 2002. St. Peter's Police Department, Gerald Hollander, 1998. Steve Troughton, 2005. O'Fallon Police Department, Frederick D. Spees, 1988. Douglas Dunham, 1996. Lake St. Louis Police Department, Paul Worley, 1995. Wentzville Police Department, Lloyd Williams, 1984. Sam Anselm, 1985. Denny Becker, 1993. Bob Montgomery, 1995. Sam S. Vitale, 2006. Linus Kirsting, 2006. St. Charles County Department of Corrections, Damian Darien, 1995. Sean Becker, 1995. Larry Clark, 2003. Art Sauer, 2007. St. Charles County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, Jim Gregory, 2005. Missouri State Highway Patrol, Trooper J.D. Ellis, 1943. Sergeant Mark D. Reynolds, 2009. Trooper Anthony A. O'Brien, 2009. Eastern Missouri Police Academy, Charles Kiefer, 2008.
We're going to ask the recruits of the Eastern Missouri Police Academy to please hand out candles, and we're also going to light the memory candles down here in front if the wind will cooperate this year. So I'd like to ask them to come forward, please, and hand out candles, starting with the front row. We are going to light these memory candles in front of us that each of the families will take home this year and be able to use and light during special times in their loved ones' lives. And afterwards, they'll also take the bouquets and place them on their graves. Yeah. But we have one candle that's lit. So they will represent all of them. Okay. We're going to hand the candles out, and we'll see if we're able to take the candles down a little bit lower. They might stay lit this year. If not, we're going to ask you to take these candles home this evening and light them and say a special prayer for those fallen officers whose names we have read this evening. If you'll take the cups and keep them down inside the cup, like this, there you go. Now, we couldn't get these lit last year, but look at the Academy this year. What a great group, huh? Yeah, they're doing great. Thank you guys, ladies and gentlemen, from the Academy. These are our new upcoming officers. If they can handle this wind and light these candles, they can handle anything. We appreciate their time. Thank you, Academy. These are remembrance candles, and these candles represent the lives of those who have protected our cities, our county, and our community. And we light these in remembrance of the many sacrifices that they have made. We're very mindful that every 57 hours, another law enforcement officer will give up his or her life for perfect strangers in a profession that is more than just a job. It's a calling and a duty to a higher purpose. For that, we pay honor and tribute to their memory here this evening, and we are forever grateful for their many unselfish acts. Those that we remember tonight also will not be forgotten and will always have a special place in all of our hearts, as will their families, fellow officers, and friends. We encourage you to take these candles home this evening again and light them, and again next week during the actual Police Officers Week and the Peace Officers, and remember all of them. Many of their families are here tonight, and thank you, ladies, for helping light our candles. That was really special. Okay.
I'm Roy Jochumstaller from the O'Fallon Police Department. This portion of the program will be the commissioned officers here, rededication to duty. If those commissioned officers will respond with, I am. Today we rededicate ourselves to our duty as law enforcement employee. Are you ready to renew your own dedication to serve mankind and safeguard lives and property? Yes, I am. Are you resolved to protect the innocent, the weak, and the peaceful, always respecting their constitutional right? Yes, I am. Are you resolved to keep your private life unsullied, to be honest in thought, and indeed in both your personal and official life? Are you resolved to enforce the laws of our country, our state, our county, and our cities courteously and appropriately? Yes, I am. Thank you very much.
Detail. Port. Arms. And face. Ready. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Right. Face. Present. Arms.
Have you not heard? Have you not known? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint or grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint and strengthens the powerless. Even youths will faint and be weary, and the young will fall exhausted. But those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Isaiah 40. Holy and gracious God, we lift up to you our officers and their families. Give them a certain sense of your strength and your presence. Uphold them through these anxious times. Give them grace to lean upon you and all your promises. Surround them with support and encouragement. Lord, bless them and keep them. Lord, make your face shine on them and be gracious to them. Lord, lift up your countenance upon them and give them peace. Amen.
Officers, order! Halt!
As we conclude, we'll now extinguish our candles. And I want to ask each of you to take those candles and bring that light of love that represents all the families that are here tonight and their grief and mourning, as well as those who have died. You may extinguish them. Thank you. We want to invite the family members to gather with the department signs for placing of the beautiful flowers on their loved ones' graves this evening. And families of those killed in the line of duty may also take these candles here on the table. We'd really like to thank all the peace officers and the Memorial Service Committee who puts this program together. And they meet each year and they work to make it better and better for our community. Let's please thank them. They did a wonderful job this evening. Judge Gertner, for your powerful message. It was incredible. It was very moving. Thank you. And to our families and the families who are here tonight and all their supporters, we thank all them and our officers for protecting us in the community and the sacrifice that you made by losing your loved ones. This does conclude our program. There will be a call to dismiss. God bless all of you.
Officers, dismissed!